Birthdays. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
Um, Good evening. It's nice to be here with all of you. I hope your Sundays were whatever you want your Sunday to be. If you're curious, I played very well this morning, so which is
Well,
great. I mean, look, let me tell you, when you play high quality music every week, you never know what's going to come out. Sometimes, a couple weeks ago, I was very surprised at what came out. So today was good, but. We're going to focus first on Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas kind of falls into that barbershop category, although it's one of the ballads. So it's, rhythmically, it's not as energetic as some of the other pieces, but that's fine. So we're going to start there, and then we'll backtrack and go back to some things that we know. So let us go ahead and get ourselves going vocally. First, just take just a brief moment. Oh, I need a moment. That's good. Make sure that your head is, your neck, not holding tension. Just give it a little stretch either way. You want to think about that head just resting on top of the neck, right? It's just kind of bobbing around in its own little lake of freedom. Not tight. Remind your face that it does go forward. It doesn't just go side to side, but you can squish it forward. And take a nice, easy yawn, a breath, and a sigh. And then maybe one more. And just one more for good measure. Just relax and as high as you can do it. Nice. Let's get ourselves going vocally, just with a little bit of meow, meow, meow. So after a very long Sunday and a very long weekend, see if we cannot bring everything as forward as possible. Make it obnoxious. Meow, 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 meow. Very forward. All the resonance right up front. Here we go. So on the meow meows, just descend. Ready and sing. Meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Too low with that, but let's start there. And let's go back to this one. Not too fast.
Rob, could you turn your piano down just a bit? It's
I'll try that.
okay, thanks.
But so it's a little bounce on the way up. And then you can kind of group in twos. Is that better? Here we go. So here we are on B. And we'll go up for a little bit. 1, 2, go. And again. Let's try that one again. 1, 2, go. One more. Good. So again, you all know your voices better than I know your voices. But as we are exploring the range, as much as you can, think about release, think about space, and imagine the space in front of you being horizontal, not vertical, right? As we go, yes, we're literally going up, but think if you can think about it in terms of this forward and back, as opposed to this up and down. Up and down generally causes us tension and fear. Forward and back is just a distance to be traversed. Now, I'm not comfortable up there, but I have a lot better chance if I'm thinking of it this way, right? And by the way, no one's going to pay me to be a tenor soloist. I understand that. But the more you can think of it this way, that may take away some of the, oh my gosh, right? Good. Let's look, please, at Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. So again, in my mind, I put this in the same category as, what do we call it? The Holiday Jazz Trio. I put it in that same barbershop category. So for right now, please note that a portion of this piece is in 3-part. A portion of this piece is in 4-part, okay? Now, the nice thing is, because we're all in our own little spaces here, nobody has to be confused for the couple of you that might be singing a different part, right? Does that make sense? So don't worry about that. When it goes to 4-part, you kind of do your thing. For right now, I'm going to be focusing on that middle harmony. Okay, so don't anybody be surprised. If you're those 1 or 2 people, hey, wait a minute, I'm supposed to go do this, just chill. I'm going to be focusing on that middle harmony, the soprano 2 throughout this. But the nice thing is, if you do move to the soprano 1, remember you're just singing the melody. So it's, pretty straightforward. Good, here we go. From the beginning, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. We start off in this octave. You go to a beautiful harmony chord. And the soprano 2 does this. Here we are. If you want to sing text, if you would prefer to sing a neutral syllable, that's fine. Do what you need to do at this moment to get these notes comfortable. If you know this text inside and out, sing the text, right? Here we go. Beginning. 1, 2. Pause for a moment. So most of the time you're in this beautiful middle harmony. Every now and then, though, you have some pretty interesting chromaticism. Can anybody tell me, and go ahead and just unmute yourself and shout out, generally speaking, and I'm looking at, say, page 2, the bottom of the page at measure 11 and 12, okay? when you have these descending intervals, very small intervals, just half steps, mentally, what do we think about descending intervals? Anybody know? What I would challenge you to do is think small. We're all human beings, and that means that we are always fighting entropy. We are always fighting like this sense to just collapse in our own chair. And believe me, I understand that. If you're like me, there are lots of times through the week you want the opportunity to just collapse in your own chair. But when we're singing, oh my gosh, it takes so much energy. But you have to fight the collapse. So when you have small descending intervals, the tendency will be to let them get too large. Oh, doesn't that feel so good to go down? No, you have to be diligent. So starting at 11 on that page, here's the soprano note. Here's your note, and then you descend. So it's those D, C sharp, C natural, B natural have to be utterly precise. Don't let them sag. And every human being on this planet wants to be on the low end of those pitches, okay? It's perfectly natural. Just make a note of that in your own mind. I assure you, once we're back in a room singing together, you will hear me say that a million times, no matter what the piece is, because that's what we do as humans. We just let the pitch sag, okay? Good. We stopped at the middle section. We stopped over on page 4 at 21. Any questions on what's going on those first 3 pages? Anything that seems bizarre to you, please ask. All right, I love it. That tells me, hey, you know what? This makes sense. That's good. Let's go over to page 4, measure 27. Please note that at the very beginning of page 4, at measure, 21, excuse me, 21. At 21, please note that you are with those soprano ones. Exactly, we are in 4-part now, but you are with those soprano ones. At least until the beginning of 23. So just make a note of that so you're not surprised. Again, if you're supposed to go to the soprano 1 part, have at it. For right now, though, I'm going to focus on the middle harmony. Here we are at 21. 21. And 1, 2, go. And pause. So this moment is kind of the most barbershop for you. I mean, look at measure 25 back on page 4. This is a crazy line. Just know that when your part starts mixing sharps and flats in the same measure, we are getting into weird territory, okay? So it's perfectly singable, but just note, hey, I gotta give some special attention here. Let's go back to 21, please, 21. Top of page 4, 21. 1, 2, go. I'm sorry, I skipped a line, my fault. Scratch that, 21 one more time. 1, 2, go. Mm. It's all right. So once we get through that middle section, and we're on page 5 at 29, I mean, it kind of goes back to what you expect. The difference is going into page 7. That's where we add this, it's a very classic way to intensify music. We just start repeating, right? Have yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Have yourself a Merry Little Christmas. So we just start repeating. So that's why it gets a little different. Please note at the bottom of page 6, you see where I have the line written on your very last syllable? Make sure you carry that over to the next downbeat. This is measurement 37. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. All the way to the downbeat. Merry little Christmas. Right? Now release on the downbeat, put your S on the downbeat, but all the way to the downbeat. We don't want that to peter out, okay? Any questions about this? Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
On measure 43, well, actually on measure 42, right after Christmas, are you gonna, is that a protracted pause there?
Yes.
Or is it...
Except Dorothy, excellent musician, section leader. Does anybody know, Dorothy is talking about the end of measure 42. We're on page 7, the end of measure 42. Anybody know what those 2 slash marks are called for real? All right, get your pencils out. Yeah. Don't say railroad tracks, okay? We call that a caesura, C-A-E-S-U-R-A, caesura. It just means a pause. Now, sometimes you'll hear it called railroad tracks, but that's what I heard when I was in middle school band. But the point is, that is a pause, and pause means breathe, watch the conductor. So at 41, have yourself a merry little Christmas. Now, that's how that will work. And if you listen to the recording that I provided, I think that will be clear. I forget if I've turned a video in for this yet or not. Conducting, I've turned in like, I don't know, a dozen videos. I forget which one yet. I go back and look. It'll all be very clear. But to answer your question, yes, there will be a pause. Merry little Christmas. Now, Merry Christmas. Those little pauses in music, they just add some poignancy, right? It's part of the espressivo quality of music, the expressive quality. Lindsay, you had a question too.
Hold on, what was my question?
That's okay.
Measure 33, the wheel, I don't know, eighth notes. How should we sort of carry that? Because it's sort of broken up, but not really. And wheel, it kind of gets weird.
One thing I was actually going to say, Lindsay, about your part, now I don't know if this helps you with your question, so tell me if it doesn't, but we all know this melody, right? I mean, we've grown up with this melody. Now, and for most of this piece, you're not singing the exact melody, but this melody is actually very disjointed. If you think about it, there are large intervals. Or Those are big intervals the soprano ones have to navigate, but doing it in a way that sounds legato and connected. And they don't have the leeway that Judy Garland has when she sings this. Judy Garland is a soloist with a lovely voice who can do whatever she wanted, I don't know, back in 1940 or whenever she recorded this. Our soprano ones have to do this in the context of choral singing. So what that is to say, Lindsay, about your guys' part is your part is much more connected. It's a smaller range and it's much easier to be legato. So please think about that as part of the barbershop style and helping your sopranos, like at measure 33 on page 6. So think legato, think line and horizontal. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow, muddle through somehow. Just completely legato. Because on top of you, they got to sing this, which is, which is not as easy. So you are really the glue of this piece that holds all of that together. So, I mean, beyond that, Lindsay, just make sure, we want to sing the correct rhythm, sing it at the right time, but find those long horizontal lines. Don't feel like you're singing harmony. Feel like you're singing the melody in terms of the beauty of your lyricism. Was I anywhere near your question?
Not really, though. It was all good to hear.
So your question is?
I was just more wanting a repeat example of carry over that vowel to the double L's. So just.
Where do the L's come in at the wheel?
On the word will?
Wheel.
Yeah. Well, great. Yes, technically that is a contraction, right? We don't care about that. We're making sounds. We don't care about, we don't care about that kind of minutia. We want beauty of sound. Until then, we'll have. So the word that we're saying is will. It's not wheel, it's will, right? That's the vowels in I. And you just hold those L's to the very end. Connect them to the next. Until then, we'll have to muddle through. So throughout this piece, this is a great question, Lindsay. Throughout this piece, because it's so quarter note-y, you have to think legato and connected. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. If we were together, Lindsay, in a room, we absolutely would speak this. Just speaking to get that sensation of connectedness, okay? So in your own practice, try to do that, like at 33. Until then, we'll have to muddle through. Will have. I'm just touching the L at the very end. That's a good rule for 99% of choral singing. Elongate the vowels, smash the consonants together right at the beat, if at all possible. Okay? This is it's a great study in how to sing legato. And because we're all moving together, we need everybody to buy into that. Until then, we'll. And if you have eighth notes, it doesn't matter. Until then, we'll have. I still don't say the L till I move to the next beat. Okay? Cool. Nice. I want to touch on one more thing before we leave today. So let's go back to the Holiday Jazz Trio. Because you guys got the hardest stuff. Those soprano ones, you should not be nice to them because they always get the melody in these things. Let's look at Let It Snow. So first, Let It Snow, swung eighth notes. These eighth notes are not even. It's do da do da do da do da do. It's not do da do da do da do, right? Do da do da do da do. So let's go ahead and sing the first page just on a do, please. Just on a do. Please take the repeat though. Go back and repeat it. That way we can get that extra repetition. My money lies over the ocean. Right, here we go. And 1, 2. And off. And off. Any questions about this first page? Anything that's like brutal? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Do we go, oh, the weather, oh, the weather outside? Do we do the jump, da 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 da?
Yeah, that's the swing, girl.
Yeah, I know, but it seems.
Oh, the weather outside is
Maybe I was
frightful.
thinking.
Now look, remember,
Oh.
I'm playing on the piano.
Yeah.
The piano, especially in this context, I mean, I'm not going to demonstrate for you over Zoom how to be legato. You want to sing this lyrically. Right? Don't sing like this. Oh, the weather outside is frightful. No one will ever, right? So, oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, snow, let it snow, let it snow. So yeah, so sing, right? Don't try to imitate the choppiness that you may be hearing over Zoom on the piano, right? You sing this lyrically. It just has to be perfectly in time and perfectly in tune. So no pressure, okay? Yeah, Julia, and do a lot of that while you're making your video, right?
Jazz hands.
Yeah, right. Jazz hands. It's a jazz. Yeah. So one more time. Now I want to keep going. So be ready to keep going. So we're starting at the beginning of this piece. Let's keep going. 1, 2, 1, 2. So before we have to go, in my opinion, everything before the last page it makes sense, right? It's the last page where things start to get a little weird. So please make sure on page 3, measure 24 on the word it. Please make sure you recognize it's a different pitch, right? You're used to going down to an F. In this case, it's a G. So please note that. Don't be surprised. Then measure 25, you start out on the B natural. So if you can navigate 24 and 25, 26 and 27 is normal. But just don't be surprised when you come to the end, because there is greater variety than you may think, okay? All right, so I've got to move on to the next. Any questions before I do? Never let anybody tell you soprano twos are always my favorite. See you later. Okay? I know what it means to be in the middle. I'm a baritone. I know what it means. Bye.
Don't we go until 7:15?
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you.
I didn't want that to happen again.
Yeah,
Hey, you
no,
know
I
you've done that
apologize.
to us before.
No, this is
Been
great.
several times.
To be honest, I was wondering why we hadn't got through more. That's the reason. Never forget that I am largely an idiot, okay? I function in this world of never knowing. Perfect.
But first I have to ask Lindsay if she's in a boat.
Are you in a
Yep.
boat?
No, I'm in a closet with lots of pillows.
Okay. Because I was suddenly thinking about that old, what's that group Andy Samberg was in with SNL about being on a boat?
Lonely Island.
Lonely Island.
I'm on a
Thank
boat.
you. Right. I probably can't say most of it here, but yeah.
Nope, just in a closet. We call it the isolation closet because it's
Okay.
got pillows for sound absorption.
Well, thank you. Now I feel better about the soprano twos tonight because I was wondering, why have we done so little? Let's go to number 2, please. On page 4, I'll Be Home for Christmas. So this, think larger context. This is much in the same vein as Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Yes, it's barbershop, but it's one of these ballads. So here we go. Let's take a look at I'll Be Home for Christmas. Just want to remind ourselves as to what is tricky here. Take a listen first. Let me play your part with the lower harmonies. I want you to get an idea as to what we're working with. Here's the very beginning. I'm just going to play 8 measures. Just listen. Ready? And go. That's the heart of barbershop, right? And that's the trickiness of it, those close harmonies. Sopranos have an easy job. They sing the melody. So let's go through it with you now, but start to figure out those half steps, E naturals, E flats, those kinds of things. There we go. Text is fine. Neutral syllable is fine. Whatever, is most helpful to you. 1 and go. Sorry. Off. Off. Ah. Sorry about 27, we'll do that again. Yeah, you guys are just hanging out here in the middle. So you've got to be very comfortable with your part. Once you are getting more comfortable, please sing this a bunch with the recording, right? The difficulty of barbershop is you've got to fit right in there and be confident. I want to do this second page, page 5, measure 17 again. Any questions before we start over? Anything that you want to hear again?
We're running
Okay,
through
go
to
ahead. Julie?
running through to the end.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, through the end. So here we are at 17. Starts like the beginning and then ends like something else. 1 and go. Oh. Yeah, so I mean, 25 is a big moment. One of the things you can do, I don't know if you find that to be tricky. I find that to be tricky. Let me give you a helpful hint. We tend to think about music as being something we do at one moment in time, and then we string all those moments together, right? This is my note. Those are my notes. Those are my notes. So that's tricky. That's hard. But if you look at 25 and 26, look at the words I'll and for. Look at the words be home and Chris. Those things are easy. So now when you're singing I'll be home, don't forget where you just were. I'll be home for Christmas. In my mind, I'm not doing this. I'll be home for Christmas. I'm not separating them. I'm thinking, I'll be home. Here I was Christmas. So don't forget the horizontal is what I'm saying. You can relate pitches through time that aren't immediately consecutive. I mean, I'm not talking about remembering what you sang 10 pages ago, but when you have a tricky moment, don't forget, that sounds crazy. It sounds like Arnold Schoenberg. It sounds like something I studied in music history that no one ever wants to hear again, right? But if you put it in the context of this, it's really cool. Use your memory to help you. I'll be home for Christmas, etc. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. But too often, I can tell you this because, I mean, again, I've been working with choirs now since 1999. People want to know what the vertical thing is. Well, what does my note mean related to these people? Do the horizontal. It's much more easy. It's not as intuitive, but it actually is much more easy. All right, enough proselytizing. Any questions about this piece?
Hey, Rob, can we just like go straight through from measure 25 just to get that in our heads?
Love it. And you have a great moment in 30 and 31 and 32 as well. Okay, very cool moment. Let's start at 25. Here we go, 25. Here's the chord. 25. 1 and go. So at 31, 32, when you have this moment, that's really awesome. But wipe that from your memory because then pick up the 33, those things are totally unrelated. My dreams, forget get it all? If all, right? Just go back to the melody is what I'm saying. Sometimes it's good to relate things horizontally, but when you're going from a C sharp to a G, that's not a good thing to relate horizontally, okay? Just go back to the melody. Let's do that same thing one more time at 25 all the way to the end. Ready and go. Now, at the very end, your last note, the D on the very last measure, is perfectly normal, perfectly what you would expect. Don't be surprised, though, that it feels a little weird because you're fighting the alto ones. They're singing a C. So here's the normal chord. You do your thing, and as you're working with the recording, just realize, oh, wait a minute, that's really crunchy. It's because of the alto ones. They always mess everything up. Okay? Any other questions about this? Good. Let's get a little bit of work done on Jingle Bell Rock. At the very least, I want to get some work done on this very first page. So here we are. We're back to swinging eighth notes. Here's the first chord. Here we go. A do is fine. If you want to sing text, as long as it's not messing you up, but do is fine. 1, 2, 1, 2, go. And repeat. Off. Before we go on, any questions about what's going on there? Okay, rhythmically it should feel pretty normal, but it's just getting your harmony in the context of what this arrangement is. I want to do that one more time, but do me a favor, don't take the repeat, take the second ending. Is that cool? Take the second ending, we're going to go on now. Here's from the beginning, but take the second ending. 1, 2, go. And 2, off, and. All right, yeah, good. So I want to take the last page one more time. Ah, shoot, 17. Okay, any big questions? I mean, mostly, if you're spending time with the recordings, great, please do. It's all there for you. Releases, rhythm, all of it. Any questions, though, before I have to leave you? Okay, you're nice people. Andre, I'll be in touch, okay? I'm not neglecting you. I'll be in touch. Talk to you all very soon.